What have we learned so far about President Trump? Number one, he's not going to change. Donald Trump intends to be president the way he became president, with tweets, tough talk so often at odds with the facts, and direct attacks on the press he calls the opposition.
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
Number two, he meant what he said about cracking down on illegal immigration. The deportation directives from Homeland Security this week drove that point home, and White House officials promised that his new executive order suspending travel from majority Muslim countries that pose a terror threat will be as tough as the original travel ban blocked by the courts. All that, of course, is aimed at securing his most loyal followers, delivering for them with the Supreme Court nominee, executive orders, and this week's directive reversing President Obama's policy on how schools should handle transgender youth. That leaves at least two big unanswered questions as the president prepares his first address to Congress in just 2 days. Can he make good on the key promises that require a partner in Congress, especially repealing and replacing Obamacare? GOP members got an earful on that at town hall meetings across the country this week.
Resist! Persist!
And what happens next with the president in Russia? The White House hit by headlines late this week for enlisting the FBI and intelligence officials to counter damaging stories and appearing to interfere with independent investigations. As the veterans group prepares to launch this new ad.
President Trump, the CIA and FBI both say Russia interfered with our election to help you. And we now know your campaign was in contact with them when it happened. So, sir, we're putting you on notice. We're demanding Speaker Ryan and Senator McConnell appoint an independent commission to get the answers, because defending America means finding the truth.
What has the Trump administration done from their inaugural address where they talked about decay and carnage? They've done nothing except put Wall Street first, make America sick again, instill fear in our immigrant population in our country, and make sure that Russia maintains its grip on our foreign policy. When he makes his address on the 40 days that he's been president, he has nothing to show for it but fear in every way to people who are sick, fear to people who are immigrants, fear to people who are concerned about the greed on Wall Street taking us back to where we were.
What kind of a reception is the president going to get on Tuesday? And I've read that some Democrats are thinking of bringing guests who they believe have been impacted by the president's policies.
Well, that would be a normal thing to do. I myself would bring a guest who is a dreamer. I will bring a guest who lost her son through gun violence, and I'll bring a guest who is a symbol of the freedom of the press, which the president, in his authoritarian manner, is attacking. And I think that's really our biggest guardian of our democracy is the First Amendment, the freedom of the press.
Are there any issues where you feel you can still work with the president? Back in November, you talked about infrastructure. The president's talked about perhaps a $1 trillion infrastructure plan. We don't know if he's going to propose one on Tuesday. Is that something Democrats can get behind?
Well, let's just talk about that for a moment, because I call him the deflector in chief. He has no jobs bill. I talked about President Obama in the first 4 weeks, 4 million jobs. He has no jobs bill, so he's got to talk about the press. He has no jobs bill, so he has to talk about kids, transgender kids in school. He has no jobs bill, so he has to talk about immigrants and have a ban on Muslims coming to the country. So all of this is a deflection from the fact he has done nothing. So we haven't seen a jobs bill. We haven't seen
But you have an open mind on it?
Well, if he has, as I've said to him and as I've said publicly, if he has an infrastructure bill that really helps to address the deficit we have in our infrastructure in our country, let's talk about it. But if it is, yet again, another tax break for his rich friends disguised as an infrastructure bill, we're not going there.
Congressman Pelosi, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.